Hello! Thank you all for tuning into this week's video to go with our college audition series. If you haven't checked out the blog yet, you can check it out at the link in the description. That'll be on my website, Page to Stage. If you have been following along this week, you would have seen we had audition materials covered, as well as the rehearsal time for said audition materials. So, naturally, this week's video is on the formatting, marking up of a monologue, an exceedingly fundamentally important step in acting that will make you really stand out in the audition room. Put in the work and you will reap the rewards. So let's get right into it. Here is how to mark up a monologue.
Okay, so first of all, read the play from which you get your monologue. This will allow you to get a feel for the patterns of your character, know their thoughts, speech, where they come from, where they are headed. The play will give you every clue you need to be able to execute this piece efficiently. Never get a monologue from a monologue book or pick a standalone piece. Retype your monologue, double-spaced, leaving plenty of room for notes. Retyping allows you to focus on the monologue itself, especially if there were parts you omitted or dialogue interruptions. Know that dialogue, however, as it will be a useful tool in your interpretation. And don't forget to write down your character name, title of show, and playwrights. Now, getting into the actual marking, I am going to take this in steps. Once you get well versed in script marking, you may find you can do each step of marking simultaneously, or breaking it down may be the most comprehensible for you. But always use pencil. To begin, let's look at the points that are literally on the page. Punctuation tells you a lot about a character's speaking patterns. This particular character is an overthinker. There are segmented sentences indicating a quick side note or change of subject. There are many questions without much room for answers, indicating that her mind is full of uncertainty and even anxiety. As with any speech, take note of commas and end punctuation, as those will be your clearest indications to take a breath. Pauses are just as important, if not more so, than the words themselves. Go ahead and mark the punctuation by circling them. Next, look over your piece for any kind of references, such as Central Park, or The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, or maybe it's another character or place in the world of the play. You should research and clearly understand these references. If you do not, it will be clear to your audience that you don't know what you're saying. Now it is time to think of the subtext of the piece as a whole. What is this character trying to do? There is rarely one concrete answer to this question. Just be sure your point is clear. Let's say my character's objective is to interrogate her scene partner. This objective can change if you feel it is necessary as you rehearse. Check out the work of Stanislavski to learn more about active objectives. Once you know your monologue's super objective, figure out the tactics/beat shifts and pauses needed to properly come to the monologue's conclusion. Try to see the wheels turning in the character's mind. Let's say after the first, "May I speak frankly?" I had a pause indicated by a line to show a change in thought. I believe there is a bit of comedy in this bit, as instead of getting right to the point, she begins beating around the bush. So this pause is there to say she almost had the courage and then bailed out. Let's look at a bigger transition, a full beat shift. Right before, "Then he was supposed to call," I feel there is a big shift from the romantic language of a love at first sight encounter to the inevitable failings of the male half of the equation. Speaking in terms of my character, not my personal opinions, we've gone from light and sweet to pointed and, dare I say, accusatory. Mark this big transition with 2 big lines. After this initial marking, you may even want to retype with paragraph spacing to really clarify this shift. Up to you. You may also feel a need to pause mid-sentence for one reason or another. I'm going to put a line before "bought her a Coke" as an indication of increased drama. As to say, I need to take a second before I reveal this because it is unforgivable to me and nearly unspeakable. Even if you just have a long phrase, mid-sentence breaks are a great tool to keep your breath steady and your speed reasonable. Time to talk about emphasis. This is something you can really play with throughout rehearsal. But go through the monologue and underline the key words that pop out to you first. From there, try new things and change anything you want to. I'm going to underline "whole" in the phrase "she spent the whole weekend with him," saying not a few hours, but can you believe it, an entire 2.5 days span? Okay, there you have it. Now you have the basics of marking. Use your negative space for note-taking as you continue to break down the subtext of your piece, and have fun experimenting with the language.
Here the video ends and the work begins. Let's support each other.